we are not done with Bloomberg, folks, because there was a Brooklyn riot last night. Let me get this story up.
And here's a good contrast of
here's
Bloomberg caring about the lives of some people.
Can I? But did you ever see the taking of the Pelham 123?
Yes.
Did you ever watch? You both have seen this. Okay, so
No.
I guess there's a remake. Don't watch the remake. This is the original one in the 70s. But my favorite part about this, and this is the segue into another Bloomberg story. There's hostages that take a subway car, is the premise of the taking of the Pelham 123. And when it happens, it just so happens to be when the mayor has the flu. And so they go to Gracie Mansion and they say, Mayor, there are hostages and we have these hijackers who took a subway car. And the mayor, the mayor's aide said, everyone hates the mayor in this story because New Yorkers, it's like a pastime with us, right? So the mayor's aide goes, you have to go down there and you have to talk to the hijackers. And he's like, I don't want to get shot. And the mayor's aide says, oh, no, you're not going to get shot. And the mayor says, so they're from out of town? Right? And then the chief of police is down there, and they're gonna give the hostages money, and the chief of police is there, and there's a crowd of people around the subway station, and then this crowd of people, like in unison, all start collectively booing, and the chief of police is like, oh, the mayor must be here. So I say that as a premise to that everybody loves to hate on but Bloomberg makes it especially easy, especially with his policing policies that are I do want to say are not as egregious as I say Oakland. I mean, I covered the Occupy movement. I went to 8 different occupations in 2 countries, and probably the most egregious when it came to community policing, or more specifically the lack thereof, was Oakland, where they have not been community policing for the last 30 years. If a cop gets out of their car, they're going to arrest you. It's really, really bad. It started really with the crack epidemic and has not let up. And they've had some serious problems there, and that's why it really got very ugly there very quickly when it came to the occupiers. Now, that being said, if you want to demoralize and kind of outrage community, implement stop and frisk. Just randomly stop people and who may or may not look suspicious. People who may not look suspicious are even more outraged, because people who are not dressed, who will go out of their way just to walk down the street in New York City are getting stopped. So that kind of harbors resentment against the NYPD. But I will tell you about this story. This happened in East Flatbush. It's Kimani Gray was a 16-year-old who was shot 11 times by 2 undercover officers. 11 times. We were talking about this before the show. It's like 7 times, but 11 times when there's 2 police officers and there's one kid who's 16, who may or may not have been armed. There are 2 different conflicting stories. One said that he was trying to show that he didn't have a gun. Others, the police said that it looked like he was going for a gun. I guess they found a gun, but there was the police officers have been put on administrative leave, but they have not. There's been no. They said that there's no evidence that they acted inappropriately. Well, the bottom line is there was a 16-year-old who was shot 11 times by the NYPD, and of course last night you have what's being called a riot in Brooklyn. There were people who showed up and chanting NYPD, KKK, how many kids will you kill today? And there was and then they started throwing garbage and empty bottles at the church, which led to basically. Led to the melee last night.
The interesting thing is, I was sort of following it online even before.
Yeah.
It started getting all the coverage when people started throwing things. It was very much a common protest, a vigil, and then it turned into a protest with a march to the precinct in East Flatbush. And I didn't see the term Brooklyn riots used until the first sightings of police in riot gear showing up. So it's very much the way they the police are portraying things.
Okay, but like, were people throwing stuff? Because this is, and were they throwing trash and bottles first, and then the riot gear
No, because
came up?
I was reading that they were throwing it at the police who were going into the apartment buildings there, the housing there, without any warrant. They were just going in looking for people who were throwing things at them. So I mean, the cops showed up first. Like, things weren't just being thrown at stores or anything like that. There was no rioting until the police showed up.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that was
And even then, though, can you even consider just people throwing things at police a full on, like, that's not a riot?
No,
That's- well-
but also throwing stuff at the police is not a non-violent protest either. You know,
Well,
once you start like throwing
emotions
stuff
are
and-
high. A
right? I know.
16-year-old
And
is-
I'm
yeah.
not saying it's not understandable. Like, I mean, I get it, and like, you know, and protesting that kind of stuff and the resentment. That's why you community police. That's why you have boots on the ground and people who you know live in the neighborhood, police in the neighborhood, live in the neighborhood, and that's another policy anyway. That you know that police are not able to afford to live in the neighborhoods in New York City, and so there's this disconnect between what's going on in the neighborhood and the people who are there to police. Like, there's tons of problems with
It
that.
was when you were describing that movie, the Pelham, was it Pelham what?
Taking to the Pelham 123.
Taking a Pelham 123. I was thinking that if it was not a subway car, because subway cars go across the city, obviously, but if it was like a local bus out in the Bronx or something, Bloomberg just would have been like, "What? There's a hostage? What? You're calling?"
But
me
it was
for
in the
this?"
Bronx, wasn't it?
No, no. Well, I mean, no.
But I mean, the subway affects the whole city. I'm
yes.
saying, bro.
Yes,
I'm
okay,
saying
yes,
Bloomberg
okay.
You're
is-
saying
I get what you're saying.
You're
yes,
talking about
I
a
agree.
hostage crisis in where? Excuse me.
Yeah, or
I
Staten
have a-
Island, right?
Trying to promote a friggin' the Lion King right now. What are you doing?
But I mean, what's interesting about this story and then the soda story happening the same day is Bloomberg cares about the health of some people, yet children are being killed on the streets by his private army, which he called them, and he doesn't give a crap about that.
You know, I just don't think it's an either or thing. I mean, I think it's interesting that both of these things happened today in the life in the the Bloomberg administration. But I just don't think that one really has anything. I think that his policing. I think that he can be wrong on his policing. Policies, and I think that he can be right on his soda ban policies, and that's politics. You know, I mean, like I said, for everything that I like that Bloomberg does, two other things make me crazy.